Hello everyone, I am Jesse, or GameOverJesse as all of you may know me. Here with us is Peer from IGN. So, Peer, with your job at IGN, how did that first come about with you? I'd first heard of it, I think, when it was IGN 64.
Okay. Yeah, that was the first website I worked for. Actually, it was still called n64.com when I joined. There were a bunch of websites with different names that in the end rolled up into becoming IGN, and IGN 64 was the N64 one. So when I joined, it was quite a bit different. It was, if you called up a PR person, they tell you who. They didn't really, back then, they didn't really care much about online press. They really were hyper-focused on magazines. They usually wouldn't call you back. You could call up developers and publishers and they tell you all sorts of things. So if you talk to a developer, like a lead programmer, they might tell you what they were working on, which obviously today you did that, it's so controlled.
Yeah.
PR would call you all mad, why are you talking to a programmer? So a lot has changed.
Yeah. What was, when you first got started in the industry, what was the first big thing that happened for you that made you excited and having that thought or moment where it's like, I can't believe this is happening.
Okay.
I'm here, I'm doing this. This is amazing.
That was when, I want to say, it was at Space World, no, before that, Ocarina of Time came out. Yeah. So obviously that was a big moment for anybody in the press covering Nintendo. And just being able to get your hands on that before it hit the street, before it was available in demo kiosks was really special. Yeah. And then as part of that, to be able to interview the people behind the game, like Mr. Miyamoto, at that moment I'm like, wow, I can't believe I'm allowed to do this, and I can't believe I'm making money doing that.
Yeah, I don't remember if you were on it, but I remember the anniversary, the 20th anniversary for Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo voice chat. Were you on that one?
Yeah.
And you told the story about
what is it called? Julius Castle, I think, is the restaurant in San Francisco.
Yes.
But they held the pre-release event. Yes, I did. I was there. Yeah.
The version that you played, was it because there's tons of beta stuff from Zelda 64 or Ura Zelda or whatever they wanted to call it at the time, like going from the 64 disk drive, I believe that it was originally made for, and then to just a cartridge. Was the version that you played back then the same as it is now, or was it different? Or
well, it is different from what you find on the cartridge now or in re-releases, because they had to change a couple of things. Certainly they removed, they changed some of the music. The chant is gone in the Fire Temple, so some of those things were different back then. I don't remember if I got that far actually. We had a few hours with the game. I got Epona. I got into the Hylia Lake area, all that, but I don't think I got quite that far. I'm trying to remember. It was pretty much the final version, that one. But, we had seen the game before at a preview event where they had kind of 3 cordoned off demo areas where you got to, fight a boss, explore a dungeon, like that. That was obviously unfinished code. But I never got to play anything running on 64 DD. They never really showed anything running on the DD. I own one, but
that's awesome.
The hooks for the DD are still in Ocarina of Time, even though the Ura Zelda game never came out until later as Master Quest. If you put a Japanese Zelda cartridge into an N64 with a DD drive underneath, it'll say, please insert the Zelda DD disc. So yeah.
All the possibilities that they could have had if it would have went through.
But I think we probably got a good version of Master Quest. So,
and then if they would have released the version that they were building at the time, Majora's Mask would have probably been a lot different. So, and then who knows how the franchise would have changed from there.
Yeah, but you know what? It would have flopped, right? Nobody would have bought the DD, and it's not a great add-on.
Yeah, they did something similar with the first Zelda when they released it for the Famicom disk system. So it seems like they were trying to do that same thing again for the N64 disk system. Well, so it's an interesting trend that they had.
Yeah, I mean, they do love to iterate on their games, and with the disk system version of Zelda, obviously predates our cartridge version. It sounds better, right? Like it has a better sound chip in it, the additional sound channel, and they played around with a microphone where you yell at the little pulse voice guys. So they're really creative. They always use every aspect of the hardware.
Yeah, that's the Japanese version of the game is the reason I had a Japanese Switch account so that I could get on the NES online and download the Japanese version.
Yeah, everybody should do that.
Music.
I mean, you can create a Japanese account. You don't have to pay for online. Just log into that one, download it, switch to your American account, and you're good.
So all of the industry going from mostly paper to everything being online, what was that transition like for you all? Because you started as a website.
Yeah, so when I was at the company, there was still magazines around, like there was Ultra Game Players, and that was shuttered, and they released a Game Buyer. There was Next Generation magazine, and we wrote for those as well, but we also worked primarily on our online jobs. So we kind of got a feel for both of those things. As online people, we thought eventually all magazines were going away.
Yeah.
But it felt the struggle was so big. It was harder to monetize the websites than the magazines. People loved print ads. It was harder to get an exclusive story because the PR people like to show their bosses the glossy magazine cover on the EB Games or Babbage's stand at the front. And so it felt like we were ready for a step forward for online to matter more, and the industry was just kind of lagging behind.
Yeah. They paid more attention to the magazines instead of the websites.
Yeah.
I would say the industry again is going through another change with a big focus on people going on YouTube or Twitch and covering all of the news and everything. So how has that changed? Because with all the podcasts and videos that you do, at first I think you all focused on just trying to keep everything on IGN, and then you started putting more of a focus on putting videos on YouTube. And
yeah, we started pretty early on. We started to explore new platforms. YouTube, we uploaded videos before we could monetize on that platform. A little worried about what that would do to our web traffic, and obviously it has an impact over time. But then we were able to monetize after a while. We were early with Facebook native uploads, Twitter. We were early on Snapchat, and we're early on TikTok. So when new platforms emerge, we know gamers are there, and so we put gaming content there, and we see how the engagement goes. If we have a hot mic, if it's alive, then we program more. Not as much as we want to, because you obviously have to make money too, right? You have to monetize it. But we're at an interesting step now where definitely, individual influencers can have a lot of power, and you've seen publishers even tap into influencers and working with them. There's been some backlash on that front too, right? Where, I think the publishers are discovering that when you're working with individual creators, you're working with a person, and that person that's a little different from working with a company. And so, I think there's room for both. I think we have to be both. We have to be both a media outlet that has a buttoned-up review process where we crank out reviews that people can trust, but also have people that are visible. So it's not just this kind of like austere, like 10 out of 10 IGN logo, right? We have to make sure that people know, well, 10 out of 10, what does that mean? Who is the person who decided that?
Yeah.
Why should I care? Oh, he also likes this other game I love. That we haven't done a good job at bringing that home, I think. And we're working on that.
Well, I think all the reviews and things that I've seen from IGN, it's always the first website that I go to.
That's
unless
thank
it's
you very
just
much.
like a specific person on YouTube that I like. Obviously, GameOverJesse, who used to work here. I was a big fan of him, and that's how I got into IGN and started paying more attention and everything. And it's all worked out for me. It's kind of a full-time job for me on YouTube, but I think a lot of people that are starting on writing on smaller websites or starting their own YouTube channels, a lot of people want to get into larger websites like IGN.
Yeah.
So what kind of advice would you have for people who want that as a career?
Yeah, look, I mean, if you already get your feet wet creating videos on YouTube, or you're podcasting is a little bit more difficult, and I can explain why. You're building a great resume, right? Being a self-starter, creating content, writing, those things are so important. Even having an active Twitter channel, take somebody like Wario64, somebody who's made a name for himself tweeting deals, that's a skill, right? And that's something like if he came in and interviewed for a job, we're like, holy crap, that's awesome, you know what you're doing. I think it's important to be out there. I think it's important to be positive and fair. You don't have to love everything, but I think you have to understand. You have to treat games as a passion and not as like a lightning rod, right, where everything sucks. Or, and then finally, I think when you're before you apply for a full-time position anywhere, you have to do freelance. Freelance does not mean free. Like we do not accept unpaid work. You have to get paid, which means you have to already have created some work.
Yeah.
And to get into freelance is you have to write a lot of stories and you have to send them unsolicited to news writers. You look up people in mastheads. You say, hey, I wrote this story. You guys haven't posted this yet. You know, I'm happy to do freelancing. You know, a couple of hours a week for you guys. Like just to get a foot in the door like that. Internships are super valuable as you can find them. We've hired a lot of interns. And then we've even hired members of our community. So some of our strategy guides writers actually started as contributors to our wikis. So I think there are a lot of avenues.
Yeah, I think.
But it's not going to come to you. You gotta write stories. You gotta pitch them, and they gotta be perfect. No typos, nothing.
Wasn't Jared Petty someone who started out in the
Jared
community?
was in the community,
and
yeah.
then he got a job, and now he has his own YouTube channel and everything.
Yeah,
So
we had a cool blogging. Well, now he works for Google Stadia. We had a blogging platform on IGN that was one of my passion projects. The tech got too old and we had to fold it, unfortunately. But we discovered a few people through that blogging platform. You know, like folks like Miranda joined through that as well.
all right, and finally to wrap this up, because you mentioned you got a lot of appointments and stuff you got to get to. So since we're here at E3, what are, say, the top 3 things that you're looking forward to the most?
Okay. So number 1 is Cyberpunk 2077. Ever since I saw that game, I think it was at Gamescom for the first time, I've been in love with that. I'm a big fan of Blade Runner. I love The Witcher 3. I think CD Projekt is so good at what they do. And that game just hits all the notes for me. And I think it'll be humongous. I think core gamers already know about it. I think it'll be a much bigger success than people expect. I'd say that's number 1. Second thing, obviously they announced the sequel to Breath of the Wild today.
Yes.
Breath of the Wild is my favorite game of all time.
Did you expect that, or did you?
No.
Because they always go in a completely different direction. And it wasn't too long ago that we had some of the voice cast from Breath of the Wild on the YouTube channel for interviews, and we'd asked them if they went back in to record more stuff or anything, and obviously NDAs and everything they can't say. But it was interesting getting their story and like how they came about getting their jobs and everything.
No, that's cool. They're probably not ready yet to do all the VO, but that's so. The Breath of the Wild 2 sequel. I thought Nintendo was going to end with the Banjo-Kazooie reveal and then walk away. I didn't think they would do Metroid Prime or Zelda. I was pleasantly surprised. I was watching it and I'm like, wait, guys, they're not done. We all thought they were done.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a DLC pack or something for Zelda. And then,
that's what I thought as well.
Yeah, unexpected. Looks very, very dark. Love the kind of Twilight Princess vibe I'm getting from it. We'll see. So that would be number 2. It's obviously not a playable game. And then I'd say for number 3, I got to pick Link's Awakening.
Link's Awakening?
I'm a big Zelda nerd, so I got to play a couple of minutes of Link's Awakening. It's very, very cool. I love that kind of toy look. And I love that they actually took the time to do a little Zelda maker. Hopefully it'll lead to more. It's a very simple, limited little thing, but I love that they're playing around with that concept for this series too.
Yeah.
But
so, I guess to finish it off, Zombie Ganondorf at the end of the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer.
I don't think it's Ganondorf.
You don't think it is?
His hair is too long, so you could say it's Demise. The hair is really long, and he doesn't have any beard hair whatsoever. It could be young Ganondorf, obviously. I don't know, I'm just getting a different vibe from it. Obviously, there's the jewel on the forehead.
Yes.
He's, maybe a Gerudo, we'll see. But I'm actually hoping it's not just the Ganondorf story repeated.
Yeah.
But it could also be a prequel, you know?
And they're...
maybe they unleashed Ganon on the world.
They showed off the same overworld from Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
So do you think they're going to be reusing that, or do you think you're going to somehow have Nintendo always likes to have a second version of the world, whether it's the Twilight Realm, the Dark World, Low Roll, or whatever. Do you think they're going to do that with this?
That's what I was thinking. When I saw the overworld, first of all, the castle lifts up. Reminds me of Ocarina of Time, where the Hyrule Castle becomes Ganon's basically, and it's hovering. You got to create the bridges. That's what it looks like to me. And then I bet it's like the cataclysm is the world has turned dark. I hope the geometry is not the same, right? I don't want to walk into the same towns and labyrinth. I hope things are destroyed and it's years later and it's like rebuilt so that you have more discovery again.
Yeah.
But I do like it's just it. I would bet they're doing a Twilight Realm kind of a thing.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, in Hyrule.
Well, thank you.
We'll
Peer.
see. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And have a good show and keep on podcasting and doing all that stuff.
Yes. I mean, if I can ever have the chance to move out to San Francisco, I'll definitely try applying.
There you go. Yeah, or maybe we'll move somewhere else because that city is getting expensive.
Yeah, I've noticed. That's one of the main reasons why I haven't tried applying yet.
Yep.
So, all right. Thank you again. And everyone, please check out IGN's coverage.
Thank you so much. Have a good
All right.
one.
Thank you.